Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sunday Night Live here on Living Theosophy. We have a very special guest and an extremely timely subject matter. Tonight, it is vegetarianism and the evolution of humanity. But before I introduce our guest, I want to make sure that you remember that these episodes are brought to you by, in collaboration with the Theosophical Society headquarters out of London, England. For more information, please visit their website. I will include that in the link below this video in post-production. And if you'd like to learn more, please look into their diploma and their higher diploma courses. I'm currently on the higher diploma course. I took the first diploma course in 2014. It's a fantastic way to begin to understand these ageless, timeless, endless wisdoms. There is much to learn, and it would take lifetimes upon lifetimes. But all we ask is that if these resonate with you and you'd like to begin, this is a great place to start. They are priceless and incredibly affordable just to cover costs. Again, for more information, I will include the link down below. That is from the Theosophical Society headquarters out of London, England. And we have a very familiar face with us tonight. I've asked her back. I'd probably have her back 24 hours a day if I could. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Petra Meyer of the Blavatsky Lodge, London. Welcome back, Petra.
Thank you.
It is an honor to have you. I would like to read your bio again just a little bit. So for those of you just tuning in, because there are folks that are coming back in and watching the rewatches or the rebroadcasts, and they might want to go back and watch the ones when you first came on. You came on Easter Sunday to talk about the true meaning of the term Christ. And so Petra, in 1984, she moved with her family from Germany to London. In 1991, she joined the Theosophical Society, and in 1992, the Blavatsky Lodge. In 2016, she became the program secretary, and she is still, she's also the president currently, and she does her best to honor her friends' trust and support. So she's doing her best, which is all that we can do, and she does a lot. I will say, I was asked in a recent interview who one of my favorite theosophists are, living or dead, and I did name Petra because I mean it. She really does speak from the heart. It's true. It's true because one of the very first things Petra talked about was an experience when she was working next to a slaughterhouse, which has led to this very episode, which is about vegetarianism and the evolution of humanity. And before we get started, I do want to say your comments, I'm going to pull them up. They do disappear no matter what I do. I cannot keep them. They will not stay no matter what, because it is a Zoom thing. And I'm not sure why that is like that, but I will stop for comments during the middle. And if you're welcome to, if you'd like to come back and comment after the program has been up for a while. So, oh, Tapestry is with us. Tapestry, I introduced you to Tapestry Ganguly. She did an episode with us last week. She was our statistician and mathematician. And I think the two of you are connected. Hi, Taps. We love you. Welcome on.
I will write to her soon.
Yeah, good. She will be in touch with you soon. Fantastic work done there. Oh, the secret doctor just fell. Ladies and gentlemen, let's toss it over to Petra. We have a big presentation to give. Petra, would you like to open with, if you would like, that experience that you had when you were going to work and the slaughterhouse next to you?
Yeah. Well, I worked in a big chemical company in the law department, in the legal department, and next to us was a slaughterhouse. And in between were railway lines where we transported our goods, very, very deep down. And you know, I started to hate these days when they delivered the animals, especially when they delivered the calves. You know, the male calves can never produce milk, and they are delivered for slaughter as soon as possible. And they scream like little children, I can tell you. And one day I was so shocked, and I thought to myself, being brought up in a very traditional Christian family, if there is really a God somewhere, how can he want us to be this to be our food? And then I started really deep investigation into the origin of Christianity. And then I found that Jesus never ate meat, that the early Christians were vegetarians, and they also believed in reincarnation. Some of it will come up today, but it's a very, very wide and interesting subject, because most of us have grown up in a Christian society. And most of us don't know the real background of early Christianity. But I have some quotes and I hope they will do their trick.
Well, we're going to bring those up. There is quite a lot to cover. I will stop in the midway, possibly to be able to answer these questions. Want to welcome you all. Hello, welcome everyone. Also, there was a meme that I shared. I was just talking with Petra about it right before I pulled this up. I'd like to say this is the reason why I went vegan, and many others that I know, is that there was a photo of between the bars of the eyes of a cow, and you could see the horror in those eyes, and it says, "I am vegan because I recognize the horror in their eyes, and I realize that I am the monster. That is why I'm vegan, not for any exterior benefit, not for my health, but because not to build our body on the suffering of other beings." So let us pull up this presentation, this beautifully prepared presentation. Are you able to see it on your screen now, Petra? Okay, good. Good. Okay, take it away, sweetheart.
But probably you might have to make it a bit smaller because our pictures are within the pictures.
Okay,
when the text comes up, I might not be able to see it.
Let's see, zoom out. Let me see if I can zoom out. Make it, is that a little bit better?
Yeah, that's fine. That's perfect.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, there you are. All right, whenever you're ready, sweetie.
Yeah, okay. I thought before we turn to the ethical side of vegetarianism, it would be quite helpful to mention some economical and practical benefits. Of course, it is now widely accepted that a plant-based diet offers numerous benefits compared with a diet centered on animal products. While animal-based diets carry several health risks, a rich and varied plant-based diet can offer prevention and treatment of a host of modern lifestyle diseases. But most of all, it provides a better life for animals. Whether it is pigs, cows, chicken, or fish, industrial farming methods cause suffering to countless animals, all of whom are sentient beings, and they have complex social lives. A plant-based diet minimizes the number of animals who live in these conditions. And it is easier than ever to an increasing variety of meat and dairy substitutes from soya or other products to change to a vegetarian diet. And of course, a plant-based diet can have numerous positive effects on the environment, including the preservation of biodiversity, more sustainable use of resources, and combating climate change. But what is not very well known is that livestock is reared mostly on grain food, which makes production heavily resource intensive. It takes about 7 kilograms of grains to just produce 1 kilogram of meat. So 7 kilograms grain, 1 kilogram meat. And it takes more than 5,000 liters of water, whereas to produce 1 kilogram of meat requires just 500 liters of water. So a plant-based diet will one day, we will not get around it. It will be, I think, the future food. So when we come to the pictures here, it is not very well known either that some really famous people in history have been vegetarians, like the ones we see in the pictures. And this is what they had to say about animal rights and vegetarianism. So if we start with Albert Einstein, can you move it up a bit? Yeah. He said, "Nothing will benefit human health and increase the chances for survival of life on Earth as much as the evolution of a vegetarian diet." And the next one is George Bernard Shaw. He never held back with his opinions. He always came straight to the point. "While our bodies are the living graves of murdered animals, how can we expect any ideal condition on Earth?" And Mahatma Gandhi's comments are truly overwhelming. But the basis of my vegetarianism, he says, is not physical, but moral. If anybody said that I should die if I did not take beef, tea, or mutton, even on medical advice, I would prefer death. That is the basis of my vegetarianism. That is profound what he says. And Leo Tolstoy nailed it as well when he said, as long as there are slaughterhouses, there will be battlefields. In other words, if we are not able to kill animals anymore, we don't have to think about humans. That will be gone then. And Voltaire, the famous French writer, historian, and philosopher, came to this conclusion. How pitiful, and what poverty of mind to have said that the animals are machines, deprived of understanding and feeling. And the next is Plato. And he gave a very important information. He said, the gods created certain kinds of beings to replenish our bodies. They are the trees and the plants and the seeds. So he calls the trees and the plants and the seeds beings that should replenish our body. And the secret doctrine confirms that the vegetable kingdoms have to develop and continue their further evolution through man. Why? For example, let's take a fruit. If a fruit is not harvested and eaten, it falls to the ground and becomes compost again, an ever-returning cycle. But if a fruit is eaten by a human body, it can develop further in a much sophisticated environment because it is helping to build up an advanced system like our bodies. So all what we eat, of fruit, of vegetables, he calls them entities. They serve us. So, and Nikola Tesla is the next one. The famous electrical engineer and inventor had very strong words as well. He said that we can subsist on plant food and perform our work even to advantage is not a theory, but a well-demonstrated fact. Many races living almost exclusively on vegetables are of superior physique and strength. Every effort should be made to stop the wanton, cruel slaughter of animals, which must be destructive to our morals. And finally, the amazing Leonardo da Vinci. He said, the day will come when men, such as I, will look upon the murder of animals as they now look upon the murder of man. The Mahatma Kutumi said something very similar in one of the Mahatma letters. We will come to that a bit later. So,
you want to continue? Do you want to have a moment
yeah,
with the quote?
Yeah, that is.
That's fantastic. Those were amazing. Thank you for compiling those. I wanted to give you a chance to, I didn't want to rush you through into the presentation. I also wanted to, there was a couple comments that came through, but I wanted to give you a chance to reflect and go over what you just read, if you'd like to, on the wise words of those who came before.
Yeah, it's what I said, which was meant as a joke, but what I said before, it always reminds me when I read all these quotes, when it was said, you have to eat meat to become as strong as an ox. And people forget that an ox eats only grass.
Right. That's right. Did you hear what she said? You have to eat meat. It's told we have to eat meat to be strong as an ox, but what does an ox eat? Grass. Very well said.
So we can gain all from.
We had a couple comments, honey. I just wanted to, before we moved on, I had a couple comments coming in. We have a nice, healthy stream of beautiful souls here. Tapestry again saying hello, I love you too. Hello, Willie. Akbal, friends, not food. He's saying that's true. Hi, Danny Bruno. La Soglia is saying, I'm vegan since the 1st of January. Well done. Well done, sweetheart. Gary Kidgel is here and he's saying, hello, everyone. Welcome, Gary. We love you. Gary was on a few episodes back. You got to catch his episode, Esoteric Astrology, Myths, and so much more. La Soglia is saying, I know we're all different and I believe everyone should do his own experiences, But since I've become vegan, my life has changed for the better. More energy, new ideas, and a different feeling towards people. Tapestry is saying, I agree with you. I became vegan last year and I feel physically better than I used to before. I will second that. Vegan since May of 2018 absolutely changed my life. Hi, Theosophical Society is with us. Welcome, welcome. It says, yeah, and then Kashik Kumar is coming saying, in medical books, we're taught that animal protein is better quality than plant ones. That is what we've been taught. However, I don't think that modern science, we don't know it all. Every day we're learning how much we don't know and what more there is to the story. So I'll hand it. Thank you for those comments, everybody. And I will pass it back over to you, Petra.
Yeah.
You'd like to pull up, would you like to go back to the
Yes,
document?
we can carry on with the text if you show
Okay.
up.
Let's go back. Those are amazing quotes, by the way. Each one of them would make fantastic memes to share, everyone. Thank you.
So I thought we should also mention some contemporary famous vegetarians, and I chose Mike Tyson, a heavyweight boxer. He went completely vegan a decade ago. Many other prominent people became vegetarians, just to mention a few. Paul McCartney, everybody knows that, has been a vegetarian since 1975 and has long been among the most prominent celebrities to demonstrate massive commitments to animal protection. He initially went vegetarian with his wife, Linda McCartney, with whom he began his animal advocacy. And Thomas Alva Edison, the famous inventor, ceased using meat and went to a thorough course of vegetarianism. Mr. Edison was so pleased with the change of his diet that, regaining his normal health again, continued to renounce meat in all its forms. And coming back to Mike Tyson, the former heavyweight boxing champion who went vegan in 2010, choosing a plant-based diet for health reasons. And he said, I just felt like changing my life, doing something different. And so I became a vegan. Tyson said, becoming a vegan, it gave me another opportunity to live a healthy life. And also Ariana Grande, the famous singer, announcing on Twitter in 2013 that she is 100% vegan. She made a change for animals and her own health. I am a firm believer in eating a full plant-based whole food diet, and that can expand your life length and make you an all-round happier person. To become vegan is to step into the stream which leads to nirvana. Some 500 years before Jesus' appearance, an enlightened master of wisdom had also taught about the importance of a vegetarian diet, Prince Gautama of India. Solving this problem led him to the first step on the path to Buddhahood, we are told. He was still a very young boy at that time. This event is well described in the little jewel of a book, The Light of Asia, by Sir Edwin Arnold. And it says, the king wanted to show his son the riches of spring in nature. Everything spoke of peace and plenty. And at first Gautama rejoiced, it is said. But then he looked deeper and saw all the thorns which grew on the rose of life. How hard the peasants were working to earn a living. How every animal ate a smaller one and was in turn eaten by a bigger one. That each slew a slayer and in turn was slain. Life living upon death was a grim conspiracy of mutual murder. A constant war between weak and strong for survival, from worm to man. There was no refuge, even in water. Gautama was deeply irritated by this insight and overwhelmed by compassion and love for all living things. And he meditated about this deep disease of life, its source and its remedy for many hours, until his spirit attained dhyana, the first step on the path to enlightenment. Among the unpublished notes and papers of the great German theosophist Beatrice Fleming, who died in 1986, I found two poems whose authors are unknown. They complement the subject of this talk perfectly. With one of them, I will start the investigation into vegetarianism. it will probably shake your heart deeply. The second one I will read at the end of the talk. It might even break your heart. This one is called Easter of the Animals. Howling roars in the slaughterhouses. Who hears it? Where does it go to? To God. Blood streams in the slaughterhouses. Who sees this? Where does it flow to? To God. Fear reigns in the slaughterhouses. Who feels it? Where does it lead to? To God. Where is the God of the animals? He lives on earth. Who is the God of the animals? It is man. Who hears the roaring of the slaughterhouses? Who sees the blood of the slaughterhouses? Who feels the torture of the slaughterhouses? No man. The roaring of fear, the streams of blood, the death screams implore to the man God, open your heart. But the earth God's ears are closed. He does not want to see the blood. Unmoved, complacent towards alien pain, smiles the God of the animals. No mercy moves the human mind. Standing apart are the kind ones and weep. So what role did vegetarianism play in early Christianity, a culture where most of us grew up in? What is its deep philosophy, and how significant is its message to the modern theosophical movement? It is important to know about some vegetarian pillars of the original Christian community. The records of the Caesarean bishop and historian Eusebius reveal that James the Just, whom Jesus' disciple chose as his worthwhile successor, and who determined the direction of the original community, was vegetarian. No meat, no blood, no alcohol. And his successors were vegetarians as well. Clement of Alexandria writes that Matthew lived on seeds, fruits of the trees, and vegetables without meat. And Peter testifies that he lived on olives and bread and rarely added some vegetables. Thomas was the first apostle in India and was greatly admired for his miraculous deeds and vegetarian way of life. In the Acts of Thomas, it is said that he was incessantly fasting and praying, only eating bread and a bit of salt. His drink was water, that he took nothing from anyone, and whatever he had, he gave to others. And according to Epiphanius, John was fasting, breaking bread, eating fruit and vegetables only. And Mark found open doors with the vegetarian therapeutic in Alexandria. Even Paul became a late developer. In 1 of Corinthians, he proclaims, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend. But there is another unknown Paulus word in world literature, and it is the more amazing since it is an evil Jewish libel against him, the Toldot Yeshu, where he says, Jesus ordered me to eat, not to eat meat and drink wine, but only bread, water, and fruit, that I be clean when he wants to talk to me. So could Jesus have been any different from his disciples as the celebrated savior of the world by Christianity? There's a scholar from whom we can gather deep insights into the vegetarian beginnings of early Christianity. Dr. Edmond Bordeaux-Chekeley. He was a great philologist. He earned his PhD from the University of Paris and other degrees from Vienna and Leipzig. He held a professorship of philosophy and experimental psychology at the University of Cluj. He knew Sanskrit, Aramaic, Greek, and Latin, and he spoke 10 modern languages as well. He was educated at the Catholic monastery of the Piarist order in France, with the emphasis on ancient languages. He graduated magna cum laude, or with distinction, and his headmaster organized for him further studies in the inexhaustible archives and library of the Vatican under the tutorship of the prefect of the archives, who had been his schoolmate and friend ever since. So Cecily couldn't have done from a more traditional Christian background. During this time in the Vatican, Cecily discovered an original Aramaic text of the Gospel of Peace of Jesus Christ by his disciple John, and other unknown books and scriptures of the Essene Brotherhood, which changed his life forever. He published the Gospel of Peace first. Many years later, Book 2 and 3 under the title The Gospel of the Essenes, as a sequel to Book 1, which dealt with other unknown books and scrolls of the Essenes. And in 1981, 2 years after his death, Book 4, The Teachings of the Elect, was published by his wife according to his wishes. The Gospel of Peace existed also in a Slavonic translation, which Cecily had found in the library of the Royal House of Habsburg in Austria. It is now in the archives of the Vatican. Jesus, emerging from the brotherhood of the Essenes, did not teach in temples, but in nature, along riverbanks, lakes, or mountains. He did not use complicated esoteric terminology, but simple words for simple people, which even a child could understand. Before anybody was permitted to the higher metaphysical teachings or the teachings of the elect, they had to go through a complete cleansing process of body and mind for 7 years. The body had to be rinsed by the angel of water with enemas for at least 7 days. And then the life forces of pure plant food could build up a new and pure body again within 7 years, when all the cells had been renewed and the regular communion with the forces of the Heavenly Father had made the mind receptive and pure again for the direct experience of the true higher self within a clean vehicle. Only the fruits of the trees, plants and seeds were their food. And Jesus reminded them of the commandment, "You shall not kill." For all life proceeds from the earthly mother, and he who kills, kills his brother. And the flesh of slain beasts in his body will become his own tomb. For I tell you truly, he said, he who kills, kills himself. And he who eats the flesh of slain beast eats of the body of death. He who kills a beast without a cause, though the beast attack him not, through lust for slaughter or for its flesh, or for its hide, or yet for its tusks, evil is the deed which he does, for he is turned into the wild beast himself. The French author and Nobel Prize winner Roman Roland, who tirelessly propagated the need for universal brotherhood in his books, and who was deeply inspired by the Essene Gospel of Peace, founded with Cecily the International Biogenic Society in 1928. And Cecily opened up a health farm in Costa Rica, where everybody lived and health problems were treated according to the Gospel of Peace with great success. And there were many, many people from film and politics and whatever who visited the farm. Isaac Newton once said, "If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulder of giants." Dr. William A. Alcott, an American educational reformer and physician, wrote a book in 1869 which was called Vegetable Diet, as sanctions by medical men and by experience in all age. About Newton, he wrote, "This distinguished philosopher and mathematician is said to have abstained rigorously at times from all but purely vegetable food and from all drinks but water. And it is also stated that some of his important labors were performed at these seasons of strict temperance. By writing his treatise on optics, it is said, he confined himself entirely to bread and a little sack of water. And I have no doubt that his remarkable equanimity of temper and that government of his animal appetites, for which he was so distinguished to the last hour of his life, were owing in no small degrees to his habits of rigid temperance." So during the period of correspondence with Mr. Sinnett, the Mahatma Kutumi had a correspondence with Mr. Sinnett, who was the editor of the largest newspaper, the Pioneer in India at the time. All the letters are in the British Library now. So the correspondence with Mr. Sinnett, it was decided that the Mahatma Kutumi was ready for his last initiation, the highest possible on this sphere. Coming back from these high vibrations of cosmic consciousness, the Master Kutumi told Mr. Sinnett that he was not able to tolerate the flesh-eating and wine-drinking group of spiritualists he had been in contact with before, with the following words: "Since my return, I found it impossible for me to breathe, even in the atmosphere of the headquarters. The Mahatma Mori, I had to interfere and to force the whole household to give up meat and alcohol. And they had, all of them, to be purified and thoroughly cleansed with various disinfecting drugs before I could help myself to my letters. In a year or so, perchance earlier, I may find myself hardened again, but at present I find it impossible, do what I may." And the words became even stronger in letter 18, where the Master Kutumi says to Mr. Sinnett about flesh-eating and alcohol-drinking societies that their eating habits, operas and drawing rooms would not follow them onwards towards spiritual progress, and that the 6th and 7th round men would regard the British flesh-eating and liquor-drinking aesthetics of the Royal Society period as savages, that reasonable temperance would not be enough, that occult science is a jealous mistress who does not allow a shadow of self-indulgence. So this is what I mentioned before, that the 6th and 7th people from the 6th and 7th round would see the eating public as savages. And remember, I mentioned that when we read Leonardo da Vinci, he said, "The day will come when men such as I will look upon the murder of animals as they now look upon the murder of men."
Mm-hmm. Yes, I didn't want to take away the text. I just wanted to step in with you for a moment. I didn't want you to feel like you had to keep reading. I wanted you to be able to stop and have a moment. There's a lot, so much in there. Would you like to finish the text and revisit it? Would you like to take a moment?
Yeah, let's finish the text.
Okay. All right, we're going to
It's
bring it back
almost
up.
finished. Yeah, it's almost
Yeah,
finished.
Okay, I also want to ask you, if you are watching, I do see there's quite a few of you here. If you have something you'd like to add, if you want to ask some questions, you're certainly welcome to. I'd like to invite you to. That's the whole point of having a live stream, because it is a circle. It is a Sunday night live. So it's not just us talking at you. You're part of it as well. So I'm going to encourage you to comment, please. Let's go back to sharing the screen. We'll be right back. Stand by. Here we go. Well, oh no, hurry. Where am I? Okay, here we are. There we are. Can you see there?
So that is finally the quote from the collected writings. We will find the following: "True, there is no need of going absolutely to Tibet or India to find some knowledge and power which are latent in every human soul. But the acquisition of the highest knowledge and power requires not only many years of the severest study, enlightened by a superior intelligence, and an audacity bent by no peril, but also as many years of retreat and comparative solitude, and association with but students pursuing the same object, in a locality where nature itself preserves, like a neophyte, an unbroken stillness, if not silence, where the air is free for hundreds of miles around of all mephitic influences, the atmosphere and human magnetism absolutely pure, and no animal blood is spilled." And now I would like to close with that poem, which might break your heart.
Here we go.
It is called The Doe Mother. "There is a gun in the waters of Moosehead Sea, about 60 feet off the shore. I threw it away for humanitarian reasons 30 years ago. It was there that I injured a drinking Doe Mother, and I was proud when I saw her fall. She got up, fell again, and slowly struggled forth. At a distance, I heard a lamentable call. When I reached her, she was tenderly licking a fawn, a tiny, frightened, shivering creature. At that moment, it seemed that a finger of rage, like a sharp sting, drilled through my heart. I picked up the tiny fawn cautiously after its mother had died and knelt down at the shore of the sea. I prayed and screamed a solemn promise to heaven never again to kill an animal creature or eat its flesh. I cursed that gun and that shot and buried the Doe Mother that day. In tears, I prayed over her grave, and then I carried my tiny fawn home.
Bless you. That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm gonna pop back over to that. The folks, that is really powerful. Just gonna go back over to see if I can share that with you. Again, the name of that text, beautiful poem is called Doe Mother. And if you'd like a copy of this PDF that we are going over with Petra, you're certainly welcome to drop me a line and I will send that along to you. Very well done. Fantastic presentation and so much to cover, Petra. Thank you. Thank you. You're right.
Yeah,
it is heartbreaking. You can feel that.
Yeah.
And it seems like there are more coming forward that are recognizing this and feeling this and doing this out of compassion and love for all beings. They can feel and empathize and understand. I just wanted to take a break to, yeah, here we go. Look at this. Here we have some comments. Willie Van Buren is saying both Michael and I are third generation vegetarians and theosophists.
Oh, that's great.
Isn't that nice? Third generation. That's great. Well, I hope that there's more generations to come. It goes hand in hand, theosophy and compassion, to ease the unnecessary suffering of all beings on our planet. We have a gentleman or a person here. I'll just say, I don't know if it's a male or female, saying, as a longtime carnivore, the veggies are right. For those who are ready for it, I think I should make the change. So that's good. If you're curious, we're not here to change your mind based on what we believe. It's just what we understand and what we've applied and become. We're sharing our experience with you. If you feel it's time, you'll know and you'll make that change. How many years? We have a question here from Kaushik, sorry. How many years of vegan diet cleanses the body? Now, you spoke about this earlier. Oh, bless him. I'll get to this question in a second. Now, there's a comment that came up. How many years of vegan diet cleanses the body cells of animal source? Is it 7 years, Petra, to your understanding?
Well, it is a medical fact that the cells of our bodies are renewed every 7 years. So if we cleanse our system and build a new body up with a plant diet, of course, it will be a completely new body, you know, and that is what they knew. They were not stupid, these people, so many thousands of years ago. They knew about it because they were initiates like Buddha and Jesus. They knew about it. So also the Master Moria says in a letter to HPB that the most important step on the path of enlightenment is a clean body and a clean mind. So that has to be taken care of, and every adept would take great measures to have a completely pure body.
That's true.
You know, it is like if you have a dirty glass where something else was in it, you pour clean water into that glass, but it is affected by that which was in it before. So a cleansing of the body is very beneficial. Let's say, put it like that.
If you want to elevate, if you want to move forward, if you want to evolve, what we have found by my own experience, by Petra's own experience, I'm speaking from experience. I can't say what I know unless I've experienced it. It is something that taking place, there's a way for things to move forward. It is a necessary change to evolve further. We have a comment here from the Museum of Lost Time. Hi there, Zen, welcome, saying yes, and Om, and thank you very much, Jay Zen. Museum of Lost Time says, surely not eating breath must be the first and the most simple step. And I think, and I feel that not eating breath, I'm sure that was a misprint. Yeah, sorry, death. Sorry, it was a misprint. Surely not eating death must be the first and most simple step. He's also saying, I think and feel that this is the best episode to date. So they can see the importance of what the subject matter that we're covering when you're talking about Jesus is not preaching or was not preaching this Jesus in temples made of gold. It was nature along the lakeside and very simply explaining love one another, explaining these ancient laws. Hang on, something else is just coming in here. Petra Okavi is saying, Petra, always lovely to see and hear you. I have changed my eating habits since the summer school last summer. However, if I don't have some animal protein once in 3 days, I feel weak. Is there any advice? And this is coming from someone named KV.
Yeah,
So,
but you know, you don't have to do it all at once. You know, you have to start somewhere, and it will get easier and easier. As we also said at the beginning, there are so many supplements from soya protein and whatever, which help. But you cannot build Rome in one day. You know, it is a progress. But if you want to do a long journey, you have to start somewhere, and that is true. But also you have to be convinced what you are doing and that you want to do it, because it is easier nowadays. But when I became a vegetarian in the 70s, my father was very, very upset about it. He thought I had 2 little children, and he thought I was about to kill my family. And then I also joined a yoga club, and he thought now she has even ended up in a sect. Nobody knew what a yoga club was in the 70s. But when we were still alive after 1 year and feeling better than before, he absolutely changed his mind, and he supported me wherever he could, you know. But at the moment, he was really frightened. As I said in this quote before, that people said you have to eat meat to become as strong as an ox, and they forget that an ox eats only grass.
That is so perfect. That is a perfect saying. And that question is quite common. I get, yeah, but I need my protein. I get that a lot. So there's hummus, there's beans, there's, I mean, there's all kinds. I eat a lot of almonds. I eat a lot of nuts. I mean, I have a lot of things coming in that literally my body, and you can see it on this channel, you will see it change once I eliminate just cheese. It looks like I was eating slabs of it, but my body does realign. No blood pressures, it's pills have all gone. The not only weight loss, but the skin is glowing. My body is fit and healthy, and I feel different. I have more energy. You will see it take place in these channels. If you want to go back to anything previous to May 2018, you'll actually see it take place. It is a journey of health based solely on compassion. We did not want to build our bodies on the suffering of another being. There was nothing in it for us, we thought. We just didn't want to build our bodies on that. Another question has just come in, Petra, stand by. Yeah. Soya, tempeh, and legumes are excellent replacement for meat protein and much healthier too. There are so many supplements out there, especially now the younger generation is getting into the foods. There's, I mean, sometimes the meats, this meat substitutes, which people will give us grief for, saying, why do you want to eat something that tastes like meat? Because it's something that we grew up on. It's something that we're used to making a curry with vegan chicken. It just has a flavor that's a little bit more, I mean, I would imagine we'll move past that. But if you're looking to transition, these are brilliant opportunities. It's the Vegetarian Butcher, I'll give them a shout out. These cruelty-free meat products will help you make the transition in a way that you won't even notice that something is missing.
Yeah,
it's true. Rib.
If people would be able to kill all the animals they are eating, we would have many more vegetarians, because that is quite a difference. The dirty work is done by somebody else, and you just
And
buy
it's
it in the
invisible.
supermarket.
Yeah, it's invisible. That's absolutely a very good point. Did you hear what she said? She said, if you had to kill in person the animal that you were eating, so you had to go take its life, then skin it, then cook it, I guarantee there would be a lot more vegetarians and vegans. It's true. But because it's hidden, it's out of sight. We pick up at the store these fresh meat packs that look healthy for our family. We kind of put it out of our minds. It's hidden in a way that we don't want to see, but we must start. We have the ability now to look online, to be able to communicate with each other and understand what truly takes place in these slaughterhouses, in these places of great and terrible and unnecessary suffering. Another comment has just come in. Stand by one
But
moment.
it's also very important to remember when you change to a vegetarian or vegan diet that you have to eat lots of fresh food. The more you cook it, the more it loses its vitality. So at least half of your food intake a day should be, even more if you can, should be raw and fresh.
Yeah, and that's what we're learning, is that humans aren't meant to sit around eating cooked 3 meals every day with massive portions. We're meant to, I was going to talk to you also, I want to get to this as well, about the fasting. You mentioned about the discipline of the fast and bread and water and being able just to eat fruits and nuts and seeds and a lot of that, finding a purity of self through fasting, which is something that I found more energy when I've done that as well. Do you have any thoughts on fasting before we move to our comment that has just come in, fasting along with veganism? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Petra?
when you fast, you have to drink lots of water. You know, first you will be a bit hungry, but then the body accepts the new situation. But it tries to get rid of all the debris that has accumulated in the body, and you have to drink lots and lots of water to flush the whole system out. Like Jesus said, they even had to take enemas for a couple of days and then rinse the whole body. That is very important. And then you can build up with a vegetarian diet a new body.
It's true. A brand new you. What you are made of
Yeah.
is what you put in your body. A lot of us think we just magically appear if we eat, I don't know, cheese puffs and Cheerios. You are building your body out of what you put into it. So the emotions of the suffering, the emotions of the fear, the emotions of the torture, is what you're building yourself with. And that's something I didn't understand. I heard you are what you eat, but I didn't get it until May of 2018, when I finally understood, oh, it's just cheese. No, it's not just cheese. It's not meant for you. That is a body fluid that is not meant for you. And it is based on.
You also have to remember milk, for example. Milk is not a drink. Milk is a liquid food for babies, for little babies and animals. And as soon as they are able to eat a solid food, then the milk production stops, you know. And that is, a cow is only valuable for a farmer if it produces milk. And one pregnancy after the other is forced on these cows, because without a calf, there is no milk. So
I'm so ashamed because I did not, I mean, I raised my son on milk. That was what I was raised on. I did not know. I literally did not know. And I understand. I remember when people came along and taught me this, and I didn't hear it. I couldn't hear it. I felt guilty. I felt bad because I wasn't able to grasp it until one day when I did understand. And it was deep in the Theosophical studies when I finally understood the broader expansive compassion. I understood. And once you do understand, it isn't about trying to keep a certain diet or a menu. It is literally not building your body with the suffering of other beings. Comment here is coming in saying, the effect on the planet of meat production is destroying it. That is what we are seeing currently right now. So just for the sake of the planet, there is a need to stop eating meat. What are your thoughts on that, Petra?
yes, it is because the carbon dioxide from all the cows and cattle and whatever is the biggest contribution to climate change and the hole in the ozone layer. And that is what only we can reduce, when we are not buying and eating this food anymore. An animal is not food. It is a living being on its path of evolution. And as we heard before, they have a social life. Animals have also a social life and a communication, and they are sentient beings. Yeah.
And emotions and
Yeah.
attachment to their children. I get this all the time from my meat eating friends who I love. Everybody's on the path wherever they're at. I'm not going to, you don't have to be where I'm at. We're all on this path together. I have no idea, but I like to share my journey. I do have, the soy milk or the oat milk or the almond milk.
Yeah.
They say, well, what are we going to do with all those cows then? What are we going to do with all those cows?
Well, they are mass produced, we don't need this mass production of animals. I mean, if there are a few cows, maybe for baby food or that, but as a grown up, you don't need milk and milk products. But we have so many cows because they are mass produced, thousands and thousands of them. And just on the German news, I also follow up the German news to be up to date what's happening in my home country. And all the outbreaks of coronavirus are in slaughterhouses now, lots and lots of them. That is the biggest contributor to an increase in coronavirus.
It's
but
true.
that has also to do with cleanliness, and that is one supports the other. All these animals and the hygiene and
it's horror. It's absolute horror. And we talked about before we went live. We will look back on this as a horrific Holocaust. We will beg for their forgiveness. We will wish to do that. We will be mortified at our behavior in the future. But right now, I'm going to read this comment, and I wanted to mention this to you. Yes, become one and ask. Yes, become one and ask. That's Akbal saying that. Thank you very much. Humans, animals. Oh, here we have another one. Partner is becoming. Pensar asks. Become one and he asks. I see there's a retraction there. Hang on 1 second. CPT Unicorn is saying animals are only predatory because humans are could have peace. I think. Well, I think no. I think animals have a natural instinct to eat other animals. We're smart enough to know not to. Thoughts on that, Petra?
Well, we over the whole course of evolution, carnivores have shorter colons, because that animal food rots very easily and it has to be eliminated from the system. But a vegetarian diet, which we are meant to eat in our bodies, we have much longer colons. And when the animal food is therefore longer than necessary, that causes all kinds of problems.
Well, that's absolutely the truth. And I will say that another comment is coming in saying animals are mass produced in inhumane ways, and how inhumane. It is medieval torture, what we're doing to them. And worse, far worse, it's worse. And they can feel when you understand that they can feel. I remember being told when I was younger that they couldn't feel the branding. They couldn't feel, they didn't miss their children. Something seemed terribly wrong. And what do you say, Petra, to those who think it's funny to say, but bacon tastes so good?
Well, as I said before, you have substitutes now. It might not taste exactly the same, but it will help you to make the transition. And whatever you do in life, it is, if you want to become a vegetarian or a theosophist or a sports person or whatever, you must want to do it. It is willpower which does it. If you are a heavy smoker and you really must want to give it up, it is not healthy and you shouldn't do it. But if you ignore it, then you will have to reap the consequences. That is with everything. And
a pure body you mentioned, for us to evolve, we can, if we're sitting around with a glass of brandy and eating a big steak and reading these texts, you're going to hit a bump in the road. This is all in application. It is not just in study and memorization and pontification. This is through the practical application and becoming of these teachings, meditation, service, and meditation. Don't let that intimidate you. I'd like to do it when I'm out on my walks. If there's a moment in time where I can get in the space between the thoughts, especially in nature, which is the true church, that's what I find is the most peaceful. It's just, you are so much more than than I know. And I'm learning every day how very little I actually thought I knew. So there's so much.
To all of us. That happens to all of us.
Every day I'm like, I thought we knew. And science is the same. Science, we think we know everything. My husband was just talking about the pyramids. Well, obviously they're tombs and they were built 3,000 years ago. There's so much more to the story. No, they weren't, and there's more to it. There is more to it. And if you're looking for these answers in the origin of man, the origin of the universe, if you're looking about the astral plane, the physical plane, the elementals, the solar systems, any of it, it's all in the teachings of Theosophy. And that's what we're talking about here. Theos meaning God, Sophia meaning wisdom. These are the ancient teachings that belong to all, that all of the religions are based on. Look for the commonalities in the world's religions. That is so wonderful to have so many of you stay here for this presentation. Petra, I have invited you back again. I'll have you back in a few weeks if you'll take me up on it. We were gonna, before I go.
That will probably complement this one, because the next one is the mystery of life within the illusion of physical reality, because so many scientists have been mystics, and they come closer and closer and closer to the secret doctrine and the mystical teachings. And it's very interesting to follow up what science has to say about all these occult teachings.
Yeah, they are kind of catching up. You're seeing spirituality, science, and philosophy. They're all catching up with each other. And I think we're at a very crucial time. The secret doctrine is science, philosophy, and religion. This is, I want to say it's beyond religion. It's before religion, actually. But if you want to learn more, there are free texts. I always put links down to free texts like The Voice of the Silence, Light on the Path, the Key to Theosophy study books are here. I also want to thank the Theosophical Society out of London, England, their headquarters. Do look into the diploma course to begin that. Take a look at some of these videos with these amazing fellow compassionate students of Theosophy. We're all students of Theosophy. If anybody signs their name to the teachings, run, because they're ancient and they're older than time itself. And they belong to all of us, and they become real when you put them into your own personal life, when you apply them in every situation. We have a comment here from CPT Unicorn. Theosophists aren't supposed to believe the official history. I'm not pre-reading these. Origins of humans are unknown to mainstream. I told you the truth, animals are only predatory because humans are. I believe we might have to agree to disagree there, but you're certainly welcome. I want you to be able to share. Do you have any thoughts on that before we close, Petra?
I think Theosophy, or the divine wisdom, is only worthwhile when it can be practiced. It has to be practiced. There's a quote by HBB where she says, Theosophy is not what you study, what you learn, what you teach. Theosophy is who Theosophy is who Theosophists are, who practices what's there. And most of all, it is altruism and love, not only to humans, to animals, but to all nature. That is where we all come from. And nature is the holy scroll, said Jesus, where we should always read. The books can help us, but the scrolls of nature, the book of nature, and when we watch it, that helps us most.
Theosophy is who Theosophy does. And this is absolutely, this is a personal journey. It is not going to come from watching a video. It's not going to come from joining a society. It's not going to come from paying somebody some cash. It is free. They will always be free. They're out there available for you. There are links to free texts here. You don't have to find them here, but if you're curious and this word resonates with you and this message resonates with you, if you'd like to evolve further on the path, What we have learned from Petra, if you rewatch this, you will hear the sages through the ages coming through and telling you about compassion, a compassionate diet to ease the unnecessary suffering of all beings on this planet. That's the sole focus. It is compassion. She mentions altruism, kindness, and love for all beings. We're here not by mistakes. We're here to learn, and we share our planet. So Petra Meyer of the Blavatsky Lodge, thank you so much for an incredible
you are
hour.
most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, bless you. Is there anything else that I missed here? Hang on one second. There might be a couple comments here. Want to thank you guys for participating. These comments do disappear after it's published. Tapestry says, I don't think you can be anything but compassionate and loving once you become the teachings of Theosophy. That is true. I have experienced, though, folks that I thought surely would be what they say they are, but it's all up to, just like Christian teachings, are all Christian teachings Christ-like? I don't know. Are all Christians Christ-like? I hope that once you reach these teachings, you become them, and you cannot be anything else but compassionate. And then CPT Unicorn says, thank you both for the beautiful description of Theosophy and nature. Nature is the true church. CPT Unicorn, and thank you for being here. You are the temple. This is about you. And Taps, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the audience. Taps was our special guest last week. She also has an amazing show on and if you'd like to watch her episode, it's up here on the rewatches. They're all here for you. Luke Ironside, Nancy Bragan, Pablo Sender, and his beautiful wife Michelle will be our guests next week. They send their love, Petra, by the way. So they will be here next week, and I'm very much looking forward to having them. They're out of California, out of Ojai, and there's much to talk about there. And if you have any comments, questions, please get in touch with us. If you'd like a copy of the presentation, I'll be happy to send that along to you. Thank you very much. Lyndon is he will also be a guest. He's a very dedicated student of Theosophy and a very passionate, beautiful, compassionate human being. Welcome, Lyndon. I love you. And Petra, I love you too. And I will see you again, and we'll be coming back in just a few weeks. And I can't thank you enough. All the love in the world to you. Thank you for sharing those beautiful
Thank you so
words.
much. Thank you so much.
We'll see you later. Thank you, everybody. This will be up in post-production. Give me a little chance to get it up, and all those links will be there. If you ever need anything, just reach out. I try to respond to every comment. So all the love in the world to you. We'll see you later. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Petra. Bye-bye.